There's a moment in almost every successful career where the very thing that got you here turns around and starts stabbing you in the back. And almost nobody sees it coming because it doesn't look like a problem. It looks like one of your strengths. So you do more of it, double down, and watch it stop working. It's an unwritten rule that puts a ceiling on the level of leadership that you're going to reach. So in this video, I'll show you what the rule is and the 3 things the people who break through it do differently. Here's how it tends to show up. For years, the formula that made your career successful was simple. Work hard, do excellent work, and you move up. It's probably how most of you got to where you are now. And then somewhere around the first few levels of leadership, the formula starts to let you down. You're working as hard as ever, your work is as good as ever, but somehow it isn't landing the way that it used to. And your progress slows. You get less recognition. And the natural response, because it's the one that has always worked for you before, is to do more of what has worked for you before. Work harder. Be even more excellent. But here's the uncomfortable part. When you're in leadership, working hard stopped being your advantage years ago. Early in a career, effort sets you apart because not everyone will put the hours in. But by the time you're senior, everyone around you is capable and everyone works hard. So hard work isn't your edge anymore. It's just the price of entry. And the people this catches out are not the strugglers. They're often the most capable, hardest working people in the company, but they find letting go of some of their strengths really hard to do. So if you've been pushing harder and feeling the results thin out, this isn't a sign that you're slipping. It's a sign that you've now arrived at the point where the old rules of work have changed for you. So I'm going to show you the new ones that will make your leadership easier and more impactful. A quick word on why I'm the person saying this. So I spent 22 years at KPMG, 7 of them as a partner, and for 5 years I was also a head of people for a large part of the firm. So I had a close view of 2 groups. The brilliant people who hit a wall and stalled, and the ones who broke through that wall. And what separated them wasn't talent or effort. They all had plenty of both. The problem is that the higher you go, the less you're rewarded for the thing that got you here. And the people even more senior than you often can't put how they did it into words, but they know it when they see it. But the good news is that I've made this tangible for you. There are 3 things, and not one of them is try harder. This will work for you, so let's get started with the first. The first thing the most successful leaders do is to turn down their strengths. And this is one that almost nobody expects, so stay with me on this. The habits that made you successful early on soon start to hold you back. But it's really hard to notice that that's what's happening, because doing those things doesn't feel like an issue. It feels like you're using your strengths. They're the things that you're known for, the things that you've been praised for your whole career. If you're a brilliant problem solver, let's say, early on, that's your superpower. You probably jump on every hard problem and solve it. But the job of a senior leader isn't to solve every problem. It's to build the people around you and make the few big decisions that only you can make. And the tricky thing here is that very often when things get hard, most of us retreat into the thing that we're best at because that feels safe and familiar to us, when what's actually needed is for us to take a step back from that and lead. I coached a finance director who built his whole identity around being the hardest worker in the company. It was how he was raised, how he got through school, how he built his career, and it worked right up until it didn't. The thing that he was most proud of had become his ceiling. And the ones who break through that ceiling notice when their signature strength is running too hot, and they deliberately turn it down. They don't abandon it, it's still obviously valuable, but they just stop reaching for it on autopilot. So here's the thing to try. Name the one strength that you're known for. The thing that the people you work with say, that's what you're really good at. And then ask yourself an honest question. Where is doing more of that actually making you less effective in your leadership role? And that's usually where your ceiling is hiding. Now, turning your strengths down frees up something valuable, your effort. And where you put that effort next is the second thing that the most senior leaders have to get right. So early in your career, the right move is to do everything thoroughly. You don't yet know which things are going to matter, so you give all of them your best. You stay late, you over-prepare, you say yes to everything. And it works because at that stage, your hard work genuinely makes up for your lack of experience. But that progression is meant to go somewhere. First, you work hard on everything, then you work hard on the right things, and then, the part that most of us never reach, you learn to tell the difference between the work that needs to be good enough and the work that genuinely needs to be brilliant. And you give each of those the right amount of effort, not the same amount. And this is really hard because for most of us, giving less than our best to anything feels wrong because that is what has helped us to get to where we are. But that instinct, the one that served you so well even into your first few leadership roles, is now the very thing that will hold your leadership back. And you really have to use your judgment here, because most of what crosses your desk just needs to be good enough to move it forward. And there's only a small number of things that need to be exceptional. The skill, and this is a real skill, is knowing which is which and giving yourself permission to give a B+ to the thing that was never going to need an A. So here's the mindset that I'd suggest. Look at your week ahead and put everything into one of two lists. Does this need my judgment or just my effort? And then shift your time towards the first list that needs your judgment, because that is where your value as a senior leader sits. Now, quick thing before the final point. If this is landing, I write a weekly email for leaders who are learning to work more intelligently so that their work life is easier and more successful. If that sounds like you, the link's in the description. Now, the third and final point is one that actually breaks you through into really senior leadership. The most successful senior leaders stop trying to be excellent and they start being distinctive. Here's the trap, and it's a strange one. So at the top, everyone is excellent. Excellent is the entry ticket, not the thing that sets you apart, which means that the more you polish yourself into a flawless, capable, but slightly generic senior leader, the more interchangeable you actually become. And that's the part that most of us never see coming, because we were trained our whole careers to chase excellence. But this is actually a risk, because you can actually make yourself more replaceable by getting better at the standard things. What gets you into the real upper tier of senior leadership is the opposite of that. It's the specific value that only you bring, the particular way that you see a problem, the judgment that's yours and nobody else's, the thing that people already come to you for without quite being able to say why. Most people never put their finger on it because it's never been the thing that they were told to develop or focus on. So the question to sit with is this: what do you do that the other capable people at your level don't do? Not what you're good at, because plenty of people are good. What's distinctive about you? What's the thing that you're brilliant at on your very best day? The sort of thing that once you've done it, you say to yourself, yep, that's what they pay me for. Find that and lead with that. Because your distinctiveness is what people actually follow. It's the lever that still works when effort and excellence have stopped working for you. Now, you might be thinking a couple of things. First, you may be worried that if you ease off your strengths and your effort, your work is going to get worse. But it won't if you do this well, because you're not doing less good work, you're moving your best effort to where it actually counts, and then just giving a B+ to the things that only ever needed a B+. That's actually better judgment, not lower standards. And second, you may be thinking that it might look a bit like you're coasting, and you don't want to be the person who seemed to have checked out. But the people who really break through into the senior levels of leadership, they're definitely not coasting, but they are being more deliberate than everyone else around them. And leading with what's distinctively you reads as confidence, not as switching off. And finally, you may be thinking that your company only ever rewards the really visible grind. And some do, in the short term. But the leadership that people genuinely follow and the senior roles that tend to come with that are built on judgment and distinctiveness, not the one who stayed at their desk latest. So if you take one thing from this video, take this. The thing that got you here won't get you through to the highest levels of leadership. The leaders who break through don't just work harder, they work out what to do less of and how to lead with their distinctiveness. I'd love to hear how you get on in the comments. Now, you might be thinking, this all makes sense, but what actually is my distinctive value? And it's the right question, and most leaders have never been helped to answer it. So watch this video next, where I'll show you how to find the thing that makes you distinctive, the specific value that only you bring, so that you've got something to lead with once effort and excellence stop being enough. Less effort and bigger impact. That's the whole idea. I'll see you there.